Discover how a poor boy transformed a billionaire's laugh into a life-changing humiliation. Sam stood at the edge of the stage, heart pounding louder than the thrumming bass of the school auditorium. The lights were bright, almost blinding, but he could still see them, his classmates, their faces a mix of curiosity and expectation. He had imagined this moment 1,000 times, yet here he was, just a 15-year-old boy with a dream as big as the sky above. A future stand-up comedian from a struggling inner-city neighborhood, he was fueled by the hustle of his family, the sacrifices, the late nights at the diner where his mom worked, and the stories his dad shared from the battlefield, soaked in lessons of resilience. As he took a deep breath, a vision of his father's encouraging smile warmed him from within. "You can do anything, son," his father had always said, a phrase that echoed like a mantra in Sam's mind. Hope was a flame they kept alive, even in the darkest moments. Yet, the weight of anxiety gripped him tightly. He fixed his eyes on the audience, sweating under the pressure, and even on Jack Thompson, the snickering billionaire whose laughter rang like a hammer, reminding him of how the world often laughed at those who stumbled. "Why did the chicken cross the road?" he began, launching into an old joke he depolished with endless practice. The punchline hung in the air, sweet like the taste of triumph, but it never came. Instead, Sam tripped over his own feet and went crashing down, a cacophony of laughter erupting around him. His cheeks burned in embarrassment, twisting in agony as Jack's booming laugh cut through like a knife. This was everything he feared, his mishap transforming the moment of joy into one of public humiliation. As the laughter rang in his ears, Sam could feel his heart shatter. Those who should have been his friends laughed, their joy only amplifying the shame that engulfed him. It was crushing. He watched as the laughter rolled into the aisles, undercutting all the hope he clung to. Backstage, laughter turned to whispers and stares turned to pity. He felt himself shrink, the gulf of economic disparity yawning ever wider as he faced the reality of his life. "Sam, honey, are you okay?" His mother's concerned voice pierced the fog of his despair when he finally left the stage. But he had turned away, heart heavy with shame, afraid to see the disappointment in her eyes. He loved her dearly for all her hard work, but a wall began to build between them as he grappled with his worth. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the days that followed, Sam found solace among friends who cheered him on, their laughter softening the jagged edges of his humiliation. Performing in local venues gave him a new breath of life. The cozy atmosphere of the neighborhood became a warm stage where laughter transformed into healing, connecting him to the community that wrapped around him like a comforting blanket. Yet the laughter of Jack Thompson loomed like a shadow, an echo of everything he wanted to overcome. Then came the invitation to Jack's charity event, sweetened with opportunity but bitter with memories. Now, standing at the crossroads of self-acceptance and desire for revenge, Sam faced a decision that would define him. Could he rise? Or would he let those haunting echoes dictate his future? With the spotlight on him once more, he had to ask himself, was this truly about revenge, or could it be a bridge of understanding? The crowd hushed, waiting for his next move, and for Sam, the moment held the weight of possibility and redemption. As the murmur settled in the auditorium, Sam felt a weight pressing against his chest. Thoughts raced through his mind. What if he tripped again? What if Jack laughed? The looming presence of the billionaire was a constant reminder of the pain he wanted to escape. Sam took another steadying breath, channeling the support of his friends and family. He wanted to be the boy who could rise above, a beacon of hope in a world that felt so big and chaotic. Instead of launching into the rehearsed joke he had prepared, he paused. A quiet courage surged within him. "You know," he started, a nervous smile breaking through. "I fell back there, but it made me realize something." A ripple of intrigue coursed through the audience. He could feel their eyes on him, a mixture of skepticism and encouragement. Sometimes you have to fall to really find out what you're made of. He looked over at Jack, who was leaning back, a faint smirk on his lips. Instead of backing down, Sam straightened up, willing to risk the laughter against the fear. I think that's true for all of us, he continued. Life's gonna throw you a punch. You'll trip, fall, and embarrass yourself. But guess what? It's how you get back up that counts. The audience responded. It was a gentle wave of murmurs. Encouragement began to seep through, and Sam could feel hope building. Emboldened, he added, look at me. If I can get up after that epic faceplant, then surely, we can tackle everything else life throws our way, right? Laughter followed, this time more gentle, more understanding. Sam felt an unexpected rush. Hope stirred in the crowd, a beautiful transformation of shared experience. The walls crumbled as he connected with them in a way he hadn't anticipated. In that moment, the laughter of Jack Thompson transformed. It wasn't a mocking sound anymore, it was one of recognition, realization that behind every mistake, there could be a lesson. Rather than staying chained to the past, he could step forward, learning what it meant to rise after a fall. It felt liberating, yet, even as Sam basked in the warmth of newfound acceptance, doubt simmered beneath the surface. He glanced back at Jack, who now sat silently, a contemplative expression replacing that mocking smirk. What was he thinking? Was this the bridge Sam hoped it would be? As he finished his set with a few more impromptu jokes, laughter filled the hall, but with it, an unexpected silence fell when he glanced back at Jack again. Here was the man who had laughed at him before, a man who held both power and misunderstanding. Sam's heart beat fast, each thump urging him forward. Jack, he called, surprising even himself. What do you think? Want to join me up here? You know what they say, the best way to learn is to laugh together. The room held its breath, Jack's hesitation palpable. Sam struggled to keep his voice steady as he crossed the stage, extending an olive branch he wasn't sure would be taken. The crowd buzzed with anticipation, sensing the gravity of the moment. Would Jack accept? Would this be the moment to bridge their two worlds, or would he retreat back into laughter? The atmosphere thickened, and Sam's heart raced. He knew the stakes. This could be the pivotal moment that would either lead him to reconciliation or thrust him deeper into isolation. What would Jack do next? The silence in the auditorium felt electric. Sam stood there, 1 foot on the stage, heart pounding like a drum. All eyes were on Jack, the billionaire sitting halfway back, his face unreadable. Behind him, the crowd was a mixture of hopeful anticipation and hushed skepticism. Would he accept the challenge? Jack's smirk lingered for a moment longer, revealing just a flash of uncertainty in his otherwise confident demeanor. Sam swallowed hard, willing himself to hold that gaze, to make it meaningful. Footsteps echoed as Jack slowly rose from his seat. The tension in the room thickened, it was like the world held its breath. There was a collective gasp, a ripple of nervous energy washing through the audience as Jack made his way to the stage. He looked like he was walking into a lioness' den, and somehow Sam felt like the lion. Okay, Jack said, lifting his hands in mock surrender, a grin creeping up his face. I guess I'm game. Let us see what you've got, kid. The audience erupted, laughter mingling with applause. It was an unexpected twist, even Sam couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement. Jack Thompson, the man who had once been the source of his embarrassment, was now joining him. All right, Sam said, trying to loosen the tension. We'll need a few ground rules. First, no laughing at my jokes if they're terrible, just like last time at the cafe. Jack chuckled, shaking his head. No promises. As they both stood under the spotlight, the atmosphere shifted. Instead of two worlds colliding, it felt more like two paths converging, uniting in laughter. Sam dove into a light-hearted routine, pinging off Jack's teasing, and playfully hitting on their differences. Jack's responses were sharp, his confidence unwavering. "Look, I may have a yacht, but I still can't juggle," he said, making the audience crack up. "How about you, Sam? Have you ever tried to balance a checkbook?" And just like that, Sam found his rhythm. Laughter bounced back and forth between them, the crowd becoming part of their banter, each joke building on the last. Calamity turned into camaraderie. It wasn't just a performance, it was a raw, shared experience, but as the laughter peaked, Sam's mind raced with a flicker of doubt. Was this real connection or just a fleeting moment? As the jokes faded, their playful banter reached a moment of stillness. "Sam," Jack said suddenly, his voice serious yet gentle. "You really did rise up there. I've been a jerk, and maybe I needed to trip a bit myself. I used to think laughter meant power, but I've learned it's in sharing." He paused, searching Sam's eyes. "You taught me that tonight." Sam felt a warm swell of emotion as Jack's words hung in the air. It was a profound moment, a bridge building between two very different worlds. He wasn't just a boy before a billionaire anymore, he was a kid with a lesson to share. But could he truly believe in that connection? As Jack stepped back, the crowd erupted in applause, but Sam's heart felt heavy. There was a lot left unsaid, shadows lingered beneath his excitement. The laughter faded, but a new worry rose. "Wait!" Sam called out, his voice trembling slightly. "So are we friends now?" Jack hesitated, a playful smile too quickly fading to a thoughtful expression. Did he still see Sam as the foolish boy who had once tripped and fallen? Or had something changed, genuinely? In that moment of uncertainty, Sam sensed a deeper challenge waiting to unfold. Would their bond stand the test of reality, or was it just a simple stage illusion about to crumble? As Jack turned towards him, an unreadable expression on his face, the auditorium buzzed with chatter. The air was thick with unanswered questions. What lay ahead for them both? "Let us find out," Jack said finally, and Sam's heart soared along with a heavy weight of anticipation. What would tomorrow bring? The hum of chatter enveloped the auditorium, carrying the weight of curious eyes on Sam and Jack. Each second felt stretched, as if the world was waiting for their next move. Sam's heart raced. He found himself wishing for a crystal ball to predict where their newfound connection might lead. Jack stepped forward, confidence radiating from him. "You think this is over?" he teased, a glint of mischief in his eye. "We're just getting warmed up." Sam couldn't help but smile. Here was this billionaire, once larger than life to him, now so relatable. Warmed up. Is that code for you needing a drink to ease your nerves? He shot back, and the crowd laughed again, igniting the bond between them. The moment felt surreal, like a dream stitched together by laughter and camaraderie. Sam had hoped for an opportunity, but standing there, he realized it was so much more. This was about breaking barriers, about showing Jack that beneath all the money and power was a real person seeking connection, a person who felt vulnerable too. But as the applause faded, shadows lingered once more. The laughter had woven a thin thread of friendship, yet Sam felt a nagging fear gnawing at him. Was this moment simply a temporary high? What would it mean when they stepped off the stage? The audience began to disperse, but a core group remained, energized by the unpredictable turn of events. Sam could see his closest friends, Mark and Lily, leaning closer. Sam caught Lily's eye. She looked hopeful, a sparkle shining there that lifted his spirits. "Hey guys!" he called out as he jogged over, eager to share his excitement. "Dude, that was incredible!" Mark exclaimed, a wide grin plastered across his face. "You really held your own against him. Did you see the look on his face?" "Yeah." Lily chimed in. "It was like he wasn't even sure what hit him." Sam laughed, but inside, uncertainty still wrestled with his joy. The exhilaration of their playful connection was undeniable, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that a time bomb was ticking in the background. Jack approached the trio, his demeanor shifting from playful to earnest. "You guys really know how to support a friend," he said, looking at them with genuine warmth. "I appreciate that." "Friends?" Sam echoed, his voice betraying the vulnerability he employed to challenge Jack earlier. It was bold, but the question hung heavy in the air. Would Jack step through that threshold like Sam had begun to? Absolutely, Jack said, nodding slowly. I mean, we're on this crazy ride together now, right? Right, Sam replied, but doubts lingered. Could Jack really mean it? Knowing that their joke-laden connection would be tested once the audience was gone, he braced himself for the unknown. That night, on his way home, Sam couldn't shake the feeling of the fresh bond edging on something deeper. It was as if they had entered a new territory where vulnerability and friendship coexisted. He pictured Jack the strong persona, stripped of his barriers, allowing laughter to be a balm to the wounds of their past. Once home, Sam's thoughts spiraled into possibilities. The next day would unfold differently. He felt the weight of expectation rest on his shoulders. Would Jack still feel the same after the adrenaline of their performance faded? Would they discover real understanding, or would it all slip into the past's shadows? He lay in bed, turning those thoughts over and over, giddy excitement mixed with fear grappling inside him. As sleep began to tug at his eyelids, another question surfaced, casting light into the murky waters of his anxiety. What lessons did the next day promise? Tomorrow would unveil the next chapter of their unpredictable story. What could it transform into? He'd find out. The next morning dawned brighter than usual, golden sunlight streaming through Sam's window, washing away the remnants of his restless night. Backlit memories from the day before replayed in his mind, laughter punctuating an otherwise quiet morning. He could still feel that electric charge between him and Jack, lingering like the sweet aftertaste of a dessert. But with each moment, the initial thrill faded, making room for worries that crept in like unwelcome guests at a tea breakfast. The coffee felt stronger, sharper. Sam's mind pinned him between the memories of laughter and the bitter truths of reality. Jack was no ordinary guy, he was a billionaire, a man with a past he hardly shared. Would he really want anything to do with Sam, the struggling artist trying to find his place in a world that seemed miles away from Jack's? He shook off the nagging doubts and focused on the day ahead. Sam had agreed to meet with Jack at the cafe where they could talk more freely, away from the prying eyes of the auditorium. He dressed carefully, opting for comfort yet wanting to present his best self. The last thing he wanted was to come across as just a fan, some starry-eyed boy infatuated with a life of luxury. As he walked to the cafe, nerves tumbled over one another like children at play. What if Jack had changed overnight? What if he had regretted their interaction? Would it all be different once they met face to face, without the adrenaline of an audience cheering them on? At the cafe, the warm scent of freshly baked pastries mixed with rich coffee greeted him. He found a table near the window, giving him a view of the comings and goings outside, keeping his nerves somewhat at bay. The atmosphere was cozy, filled with a comforting hum of chatter and clinks of cups so unlike the electric environment of the previous day. Minutes dragged on, and Sam's anticipation rose. When Jack finally walked in, he immediately lit up the room. He wore a casual outfit that accentuated his tall stature, contrasting sharply with the polished persona he had held on stage. A grin split Jack's face when their eyes met, and Sam's heart soared despite the fear lurking within him. "Sorry I'm late," Jack said, sliding into the seat across from Sam. "Traffic was a nightmare. But here we are." His enthusiasm was contagious. "Glad you made it." "I was starting to worry," Sam replied, forcing a smile to mask his inner turmoil. "Worry? About me? That's sweet." Jack laughed, and for a moment, the tension between them seemed to dissolve. They moved through light banter, sharing stories about their worlds, Jack recalling meetings with investors, while Sam painted pictures of working long nights at art shows. Each exchange released a little more of their barriers, layer by layer. But Sam couldn't ignore the cloud looming above their conversation. Beneath every word, he felt an inescapable reality pressing in. What did Jack want from him? Was this friendship merely a fleeting whim, or was there something bigger lurking in the corners of their interaction that neither dared acknowledge? As the moments ticked by, Sam finally found the courage to ask what had been buzzing in the back of his mind since they met. "So, what does this all mean for us, Jack?" The question hung between them, heavy and potent. Jack looked thoughtful, yet a flicker of something indecipherable flashed across his face. Sam's pulse quickened, the weight of his vulnerability filling the space around them. Just then, a loud crash sounded from the kitchen, a tray full of dishes tumbling to the floor. Both men jumped, breaking the tension that had settled. The laughter that erupted from other patrons provided a moment of relief. Jack's gaze returned to Sam, now more serious. "I think we need to figure that out together," he said, his voice low but firm, laced with resolve. Tomorrow promised new revelations, unearthing deeper truths. But would they confront those shadows, or would they cower away from the daunting path ahead? Sam could only hope they would find the answers together before their moment slipped away into memory. As they stood to leave, Sam felt a rush of determination pushing his fear aside. Tomorrow would be a decisive day, unveiling what lay beneath the laughter, a journey calling for brave hearts. But what if those revelations shattered the fragile connection they had built? The next morning arrived too early, the sunlight glaring through Sam's window, nudging him out of the comfort of sleep. He tossed and turned, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts about Jack. What did he mean when he said they needed to figure things out together? Was that just a polite way of saying he wanted to keep things casual? Doubt settled heavily in the pit of Sam's stomach as he prepared for the day. He couldn't shake the image of Jack's easy smile or the way he lit up the room. But hanging on that smile was a question: what if Jack thought Sam was less than he was, just an artist scrambling for recognition, someone who couldn't possibly belong in Jack's world? Sam dressed carefully again, pulling on a faded shirt that made him feel more like himself. He needed to show Jack that he was more than a fan, he had to project confidence. As he walked to the cafe, he rehearsed his lines in his head, hoping to keep the conversation focused on the possibilities of their connection without spiraling into personal insecurities. Arriving at the cafe, the familiar scent of coffee wrapped around him like a warm hug, yet his heart raced with anticipation. He spotted Jack almost immediately, seated at their usual table. He looked relaxed, his dark hair slightly tousled, and he wore a cozy sweater that hinted at warmth instead of the usual polish. Sam's nerves relaxed a smidge at the sight. "Hey there." Jack greeted him, waving him over. His bright smile sent a spark through Sam, but that doubt still lingered at the edges of his mind. "Morning. You look comfy," Sam replied, trying to sound casual while his heart raced. "Thought I'd tone it down a bit today." "Let's keep things real," Jack said, leaning back in his chair. He was propped up with an open newspaper sprawled on the table. "Good idea," Sam nodded, though he felt the weight of the moment pressing on him. As they settled in, he pointed to a pie on the counter. "That looks amazing. Do they actually make it fresh every day?" Jack followed his gaze. "I wish I could take credit for my stellar taste, but I can't deny it. It's like a slice of heaven." He grinned, his eyes sparkling. "What are you going to get?" "I might have to try that slice of heaven," Sam laughed, pushing down the anxiety coursing through him. The easy banter continued, but Sam couldn't help feeling a tension underneath the laughter, a sort of unspoken understanding that both were skirting around the real issue. When the waiter brought their orders, a slice of pie for Sam and a black coffee for Jack, Sam took a deep breath. "Jack," Sam finally said, voice serious yet vulnerable. "We can't keep dancing around this. What does this friendship mean to you?" Jack paused, his brow furrowed as if weighing every possible response. "Honestly, I like being around you. It's refreshing, but there's some stuff in my life that I don't share lightly." "I get that, but I need to know if we're building something real or if it's just a moment for you," Sam confessed, hating how exposed he felt but knowing it was necessary. Before Jack could respond, a loud laugh erupted from the corner of the cafe, pulling both their eyes. A group of people were huddled around a table, drawing attention with their raucous energy. Sam briefly let that distract him, just wishing for a moment that he could blend into the noise and avoid the conversation entirely, yet Jack turned back to him, a serious expression crossing his face. "I think it's time we both face what we want, Sam. I want you to be a part of my world, but I need to be sure how much of it you're ready for." The weight of those words pressed down hard. Could he really handle the complexities of Jack's life? As they grappled with the truths waiting in the silence, tension crackled between them. Sam felt both terrified and exhilarated, standing on the cusp of something that could change everything. "Will you take this journey with me?" Jack asked quietly, his eyes searching Sam's face for an answer. Sam's heart pounded in anticipation, caught between fear and excitement. What did he really want? Would he dive into the unknown, or would he pull back, overwhelmed by the shadows of doubt? The moment hung in the air, teetering on the edge of revelation, when suddenly a flash of light caught Sam's eye, a camera's lens turning toward their table. His stomach dropped. Who were these people? Before he could process the implications of what was happening, the chatter in the cafe began to grow louder, buzz swirling around them. Sam glanced at Jack, and for the first time, he wondered if they had already crossed a line they couldn't come back from. Would this day change everything, whether they were ready or not? The laughter from the lively table continued to echo in Sam's ears, but his focus was trained solely on Jack. The weight of their conversation felt heavier now. The camera flash had ignited something in him, a visceral awareness that at any moment, their boundaries might be breached, their private moment thrust into the limelight. Jack sensed the shift. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked, his voice low and earnest. Sam could see the concern building in Jack's eyes, mixing with the light that usually shone there. "Yeah, just it's a lot, you know." Sam replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Jack nodded, leaning in closer, creating a small cocoon of intimacy amidst the cafe's growing chaos. "We can take our time. If you need space to figure things out, I'm here." But something in Sam stung at that. Space felt like a retreat, and retreat was not what he wanted anymore. "No, I don't want space," he said, his words coming out stronger than he felt. "I need to be honest, Jack. I'm scared. Scared of losing what we have, scared of what this could mean." In that moment, the world around them faded away until it was just two people floating in a sea of emotions. Jack reached across the table, his fingers brushing against Sam's hand. The warmth of his touch sent a shiver running through Sam, igniting memories of laughter, late-night conversations, and warmth shared beneath both summer skies and city lights. "I don't want to rush you," Jack said softly. "But I care about you. I really do. You mean something to me." Sam's heart swelled. "You mean something to me too, but we're in different worlds, Jack. You're this big shining star, and I'm just trying to find my place." Jack frowned, his brow furrowing with determination. "You think I care about that? I'm not interested in the life everyone sees on the surface. My world's not what it seems, Sam. Sometimes it feels like I'm stuck in a role everyone expects me to play. But with you, I feel real." "Really?" Sam whispered, vulnerability seeping into every word. "Really," Jack affirmed, his voice steady. Sam could see a flicker of something deep in Jack's eyes, an earnestness that offered reassurance yet begged for trust, but just then, the clicks of a camera broke their moment. A voice from across the cafe called out, "Jack. Is that you? You're back in town. Look over here." Sam stiffened, yanking his hand away. The sudden discomfort startled him, triggering his defenses. Jack's face mirrored the same strain, and Sam saw the shift happen, the carefree atmosphere suddenly suffocating. "Maybe we should," Sam started, feeling small again, embarrassed in the spotlight. "Wait," Jack suddenly said, his eyes finding Sam's. Let's not let them steal this moment from us." His tone was commanding yet soft, a call to stay steady amidst the chaos, but the tension was unbearable, both the external pressure and the weight of their unresolved conversation. They were pulled in two different directions, one to the prying eyes, the other to the intimacy they craved. "Sam, whatever happens, I want you to know I'm not going anywhere," Jack declared firmly, drawing Sam's gaze back. "You have to trust me." Sam felt like he was balancing on a tightrope, each step fraught with uncertainty. Could he trust Jack with his heart, amidst the noise and the pressures of their lives. As the camera's clicks and laughter persisted, the turmoil in Sam's heart grew. In that moment, with eyes locked and spirits wavering, he realized that this was at the heart-pounding moment stuck between fear and hope. Would he take that leap of faith? Let us not run away, Sam finally breathed, feeling the weight of the decision settle. Jack's face brightened, but surprise flickered across his features. Are you sure? I don't know what the future holds, but I want to find out with you. Just as he said the words, the thought of the crowd loomed large again, the fear creeping back in. What if this decision painted him in a way he couldn't escape? The laughter continued, washing over them like waves, and Sam felt a storm brewing inside. Would he hold on to Jack, or was he already being swept away by the tide of expectations? And before he could answer that question, the cafe door swung open, and in walked a figure that made Sam's heart drop. An ex from Jack's past, a reminder of a world he couldn't compete with. The atmosphere shifted dramatically. Would their moment survive this new twist? Sam's breath hitched in his throat as he watched the figure enter. The moment felt stretched, like time itself had paused, leaving behind nothing but the weight of what was happening. Jack, Sam murmured, sensing the air change between them. Jack's gaze flickered to the door, and Sam followed his eyes, meeting the unexpected sight of a man who once held a position in Jack's life that Sam could only dream of occupying. The newcomer was tall, with polished features and an easy smile that could light up any room, a stark contrast to the dimming light of the cafe as the laughter continued around them. Sam's heart raced as uncertainty and jealousy mingled within him. Is that Sam dared to ask, his voice trailing off. Yeah, that's Kyle, Jack replied, his shoulders tensing. The way he said the name held a note of annoyance, yet there was a flicker of something else, something Sam couldn't quite pin down. Kyle caught sight of Jack, his expression morphing from surprise to delight as he made his way over. Sam's heartbeat echoed in his ears, drowning out the joyful chatter around him. As Kyle approached, the laughter faded, and all that remained was the uneasy tension straining between the three of them. Jack, it's been ages. Kyle exclaimed, a gleam of recognition in his eyes. He didn't seem to notice Sam at first, making it feel all the more isolating. It was as if a curtain had dropped, separating Sam from Jack in a way that felt impossible to overcome. Yeah, I'm back for a bit, Jack answered, voice even but guarded. Sam could almost hear the caution laced in his words, a protective shield against whatever Kyle might throw at them. Good to see you. We should catch up. You remember my friends, right? Kyle gestured over his shoulder to a group still seated at the other end of the cafe, oblivious to the drama unfolding. They're dying to hear about your latest projects. You've been so busy. Jack's gaze flickered to Sam, whose throat felt tight as all the weight of their earlier conversation clashed with this unexpected intrusion. Just as he opened his mouth to say something, Kyle turned, finally placing his focus on Sam. And who is this? The question was casual, but the implications of it hung heavily in the air. Sam felt like he was being measured, judged against a standard he could never meet. This is Sam. A friend, Jack said too quickly, and the way he said it faltered, uncertainty creeping into his tone. A friend? Kyle echoed, humor laced into his voice, and the way it rolled off his tongue felt like a jab. Jack, it's good to see you've made new friends. Good friendships are hard to come by, aren't they? Every word felt like a challenge. Sam's mind was racing, caught between wanting to defend himself and the sinking feeling that he was already beneath Kyle's level of approval. Jack frowned at Kyle. I'm not here for a blast from the past. The air crackled, and Sam admired Jack for his resolve but felt the tide of confidence slipping through his fingers. Hey, no need to be defensive, Kyle raised his hands in mock surrender. Just catching up, that's all. But I'd love to know what you two have been up to. Sam's heart raced as he glanced at Jack, who seemed to weigh his options. The warmth they had shared moments before felt like a distant memory now, overshadowed by the choking presence of the past coming to haunt them. Sam's been helping me with some personal projects, Jack said finally, a fire igniting in his gaze that pushed back against Kyle's probing. Personal projects? Kyle smirked, clearly skeptical. That sounds interesting. Sam could feel the heat of Kyle's scrutiny, and he wanted to shrink back, to shield himself from the piercing eyes that threatened to expose his doubts and insecurities. Yet, just as the tension began to claw its way up Sam's spine, a thought hit him. What if he didn't have to play this game? What if he could stand his ground? What's interesting is how sometimes the past doesn't define who we choose to be in the present, Sam interjected, surprising himself with the strength behind his voice. Both Jack and Kyle turned to him, the former with a flicker of affirmation, the latter with narrowed eyes. Just then, behind Kyle, a series of giggles erupted from the group of friends he had been chatting with. The animation broke the spell momentarily, but Sam could feel the weight of their attention honing in again. Jack leaned in slightly, his expression serious but supportive. You don't have to prove anything. But Sam wasn't sure. Kyle's presence felt like an incessant reminder of all the things he feared he wasn't. Yet maybe this was the moment for conviction. In this unfamiliar territory where conflict brewed, Sam wondered if he could step further out of the shadows both for himself and for Jack. Would he confront this pressure head-on, or would he allow fear to close the door he had just begun to open? Let's see where this goes, he thought, setting his gaze on Jack. But Kyle was still in the frame, with the smile of an old flame ready to reignite a past that didn't involve Sam. Could he rise to the challenge, or would the flames of jealousy consume him? Sam felt a thud in his chest as the weight of their situation pressed down harder. Kyle's scrutinizing gaze kept bouncing between him and Jack, like a ball tossed in a game that had suddenly turned too serious. He could sense the growing storm, the air crackling around them, thick with unspoken words and wild emotions. Kyle, why are you even here? Jack asked finally, the steel in his voice breaking through the tension. Sam admired him for that, but it also terrified him. Would Jack fight this battle for them? Or was he asking for Sam to step up? Just thought I'd pop in and see my old friend, Kyle replied, feigning innocence as he leaned casually against the table. You know how it is, right? Can't catch up without stirring the pot a little. Sam clenched his fists under the table, the smooth surface now feeling like an anchor dragging him down. Kyle's casual demeanor felt like a direct attack. And here he was, feeling like an uninvited guest in a story he barely understood. Jack sighed, a mix of annoyance and resignation flaring in his eyes. This isn't the time, Kyle. Can't you see we're busy? Kyle interrupted, a grin creeping across his face. You mean with this new friend of yours? He waved a dismissive hand toward Sam, as if trying to erase him completely. For a moment, Sam felt invisible, trapped in a limbo of doubt as Jack glared at Kyle, the heat between them palpable. He wanted desperately to step out from behind the shadows but wasn't quite sure how to start himself. Look, Sam interjected, his voice steadier than he felt. Jack doesn't owe you anything. We're just enjoying some time together. It's nice to reconnect, but it can be awkward. There it was, the first tentative step toward pushback. Jack's eyes darted to Sam, and Sam could see what he was searching for, approval. But that approval would have to wait. Kyle's laughter bounced off the cafe walls, mirroring the churning emotions swirling inside Sam. Awkward? That's just cute. He mocked, his condescension making Sam's spirit flicker with defiance. Yeah, well, whether you think it's cute or not, it's real, Sam shot back, surprising even himself with the fierceness in his tone. Jack's expression flickered with pride, but Sam was still unsure. What did it take to win in this sort of confrontation? Kyle narrowed his eyes, the playful tone fading. You really think shouting louder will make you right? I think standing up for myself makes me a person, Sam replied, letting the last word settle in the air. Jack's silence felt heavy, but Sam caught a glimpse of a smile rising at the corner of his mouth. Maybe this wasn't a battle just for him, maybe it was for Jack too. What if both of them could redefine this moment together? As Kyle opened his mouth to retort, behind him, another wave of laughter erupted from his friends, vibrant and carefree. It was a stark reminder of the joyous vibe in the cafe, the very vibe that now seemed impossibly out of reach, like watching a movie from behind a glass wall. The stark contrast jarred Sam. "Look, Kyle," Jack finally cut in, voice steady. "I'm not here to rehash the past. I'm moving forward. And I have no intention of letting someone like you define what forward looks like for me," Sam added, each word easier than the last. Kyle's posture shifted, the convivial facade slipping just a little, revealing the unease beneath. There was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes, and Sam seized on that vulnerability. "Let's just see if you can keep your little game going," Kyle said, his challenge clear. "See you around, Jack." He turned on his heel, flicking a dismissive glance towards Sam before melting back into the crowd. As the door swung shut behind him, Sam let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. The cafe felt different now. People resumed their laughter, but a new energy crackled in the air. Jack turned to Sam, a mix of admiration and disbelief in his expression. "That was bold." "I had to try," Sam replied, his heart still racing. "It felt necessary." "I didn't think you'd have that in you," Jack admitted, the corners of his mouth twitching upward. "Neither did I," Sam confessed, feeling the thrill of victory coursing through him. But as they exchanged glances filled with unspoken promises, he knew there was still a mountain of expectation ahead. Jack leaned closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Are you ready for whatever comes next?" How could Sam say no? What choice do we have but to face it together? He replied, the words echoing with a new resolve. But as he searched Jack's eyes, determination flared within him. Could they navigate the storm that was bound to follow Kyle's parting shot? In that moment of unity, a realization washed over Sam: some battles were worth fighting, especially when you had someone by your side. The question lingered in the air: what kind of future could they carve out together when the echoes of the past threatened their bond? Sam was finally on the brink of something real. The energy from the cafe lingered, charged with the aftershocks of confrontation and victory. He and Jack had wrestled with shadows, standing firm even as the bright sunlight streamed in through the windows. They had made progress, but the lingering uncertainty around them remained like a thick fog, hovering and waiting. Jack leaned back, an audible breath escaping him. "I don't even know what to say, Sam. You stood up to Kyle. You really stood up for us." His eyes were warm and grateful, yet a serious undertone rippled in the air. Sam scratched the back of his neck, a subtle and ironic nod to the nerves that still buzzed within him. "Honestly, I didn't really know what I was doing. It just felt right to say something," he admitted, catching Jack's gaze. In the chaos of emotions, he felt strong, resilient. Even with doubt still dancing around them, he sensed that they had shifted the dynamic. They were no longer just a boy and a billionaire, but two people facing the world, or at least their corner of it, together. Jack's expression softened. "I respect that. The way you command attention, the way you turn the tables on him, it was, well, impressive. It's clear you have a gift." His voice carried an admiration that sent warmth pooling in Sam's chest. "Well, I really couldn't have done it without you. You challenged me to step out of my comfort zone," Sam replied, a small smile creeping onto his face. "Then let us keep doing that. Let us lean into these uncomfortable moments together." Jack's determination resonated with Sam, but a different set of fears began to creep back, in worries of belonging, of equity in this relationship. What if Kyle keeps coming back? What if he keeps trying to stir things up? Sam's voice was laced with apprehension. "Then we deal with it," Jack replied quietly. "Together." He reached for Sam's hand, fingers brushing lightly, igniting a spark that sent an electric jolt soaring through Sam's spine. "Let us not let the past hold us captive, Sam. I want to build something with you, and I'm ready to get real about it. Are you?" This was the moment that would define everything. The room dimmed with anticipation. Could he let go of the shadows? Yeah, I'm ready. Let us make this real, Sam said with newfound resolve. The fear felt lighter, swept away by the honesty of their connection. They spent the rest of the afternoon sharing dreams and challenges, diving deep into conversations filled with what-ifs and why-nots, laughter punctuating their words like silver linings. As the sun began setting, painting the cafe with warm golden hues, Sam thought back to that first moment on stage, how deeply he had fallen when he tripped. Now, those very falls had propelled him forward, leading him to this moment where vulnerability transformed into strength. That it wasn't just about standing alone, it was about standing together. As they walked out of the cafe, Sam felt the weight of what they were facing wasn't so ominous anymore. Jack's presence felt sturdy beside him, a fortress ready to defend against whatever storm might arise. Sam looked up at Jack, a gentle yet determined smile forming on his lips. The future isn't just a question of where we go next, it's about how we take every step forward together. Jack nodded, his eyes sparkling with excitement and affirmation. Exactly. Wherever that leads us, I'm all in. With that resolve embedding itself firmly in their hearts, Sam felt the world start to open up again. The future gleamed bright ahead, filled with mystery but laced with hope. They would face whatever came together, one laugh, one challenge, one moment at a time, and as they got further from the cafe, Sam couldn't help but notice the storm within him had calmed, replaced now by a profound sense of belonging. A sense of family, of fighting for each other. The journey ahead would have its challenges, but it would be their journey, and they would face it head-on. Now was the time to celebrate this new beginning. Before you go, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. If you enjoyed the transformation, leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your support means the world.